Today we have brought you the latest Tesla news. Tesla's NACS connector is being made mandatory for state funding. Demand for Tesla and EVs helps push new car sales in Europe by 18%. Tesla recalls small number of 2023 Model 3 and Model Y for potentially defective pyrotechnic battery disconnect. And Tesla updates Cybertruck reservation page. Let's get into all the details. So let's get started. Tesla's North American Charging Connector, NACS, is being made mandatory for state funding in some regions, as it is becoming obvious more areas are interested in adopting the automaker's charger to make EV charging more available. Washington became the second U.S. state to note that Tesla's NACS connector will be mandatory for companies to use if they want to qualify for state funding that would help expand charging networks. The first was Texas. After Ford, General Motors, and Rivian became the three mainstream automakers to adopt NACS, charging companies across the United States started putting out statements that they too would use the connector for future locations. While the NACS is not yet a standard like the Combined Charging System, CCS, automakers are intent on using Tesla's charging network because of its number of locations, which has swelled well past 45,000 chargers globally earlier this year. The initial adoption of NACS by automakers has encouraged Tony Abewell, Alternative Fuels Program Manager for Washington's Department of Transportation. "I'm actually really happy about NACS and how finally automakers are gearing towards one standard. We want to provide access to as many makes and models as possible. It hasn't necessarily been tested and certified for other auto manufacturers, so we want to make sure it's going to work, but we are planning to require NACS at our state-funded and federally funded sites in the future," Buell said. The state plans to begin the proposals process in the fall, according to Reuters. Washington is still cognizant of the Biden administration's adamants of using the CCS connectors, and state officials are trying to determine the correct spread of NACS connectors to CCS. Federal rules state that taxpayer-backed sites must have 4 CCS connectors, and the state could require at a minimum 2 of them to work with NACS. NACS is still working toward becoming a standard, as Charin is working to let the connector work through its process of due diligence to become one. Moving to the next update, demand for Tesla and EVs helps push new car sales in Europe by 18%. New vehicle registrations in Europe increased by 18% in May 2023. The shift was due in part to the growing demand for electric cars like Tesla's, which are outpacing the broader automotive market. This increase represents the 10th consecutive month of rises, and it was driven by strong sales of battery electric vehicles, which jumped 66% to 170,389 units, as highlighted in a document released by ACEA, an industry association. The growth of EVs has been substantial, thanks in part to the ramp and rising popularity of vehicles like the Tesla Model Y, which is now produced at Gigafactory Berlin. A look at Tesla's sales in May for the EU, plus EFTA, plus UK markets, shows that the EV maker sold a total of 29,600 cars during the month, a 1,920.5% increase from the 1,465 that were sold in May 2022. From January to May 2023, Tesla sold a total of 138,294 units, a 121.8% increase year-over-year. Tesla's registrations for the month were 29,000 for a 2.6% market share. That's up from Tesla's 0.2% market share in May last year. This may be partly due to the Model Y's increased supply from Giga Berlin, as well as Tesla's aggressive price cuts for its lineup of vehicles. Overall, nearly 14% of the new cars registered in the first 5 months of 2023 were battery electric vehicles, with sales climbing more than 40% to just over 730,000 units, as noted by the industry association. Vehicle registrations in the EU, EFTA, and UK markets stood at 1.12 million cars, a notable increase from the 948,815 units that were sold in the same month last year. Italy and Germany led the overall sales rise, with gains of 23% and 19% respectively. Volkswagen Group, Europe's #1 automaker, saw sales rise 20%. Sales of Stellantis increased by 0.5%. As noted in an Automotive News Europe report, car makers in Europe today are building more vehicles after long-standing supply chain problems have started to ease. But while car makers are seemingly no longer struggling to keep their production lines running, the focus has now reportedly shifted to consumers dealing with higher living costs and rising utility prices. Moving to the next update, Tesla recalls small number of 2023 Model 3 and Model Y for potentially defective pyrotechnic battery disconnect. Tesla has issued a rare physical recall for a small population of 2023 Model 3 and Model Y vehicles, which may have a defective pyrotechnic battery disconnect. According to the recall notice posted to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration (NHTSA), only 26 Model 3 and Model Ys are potentially impacted by this issue. However, the actual number should be far lower than that, with Tesla estimating just 2% of those have the actual condition. The impacted vehicles were built on May 21, 2023, Model 3, and between May 20 to 26, 2023, Model Y. If you are wondering what a pyrotechnic battery disconnect is, it is a device that disconnects the high-voltage battery in the event of a crash or other issue with the battery. The issue of non-functioning disconnects was discovered on April 20, 2023, during validation testing, after the supplier introduced a new production line for the disconnect. Despite the issue being discovered in April, a gap in the supplier's tracking processes led to a small number of defective units being installed in May. Unlike most of Tesla's recalls, which can be fixed with an over-the-air software update, this one will require Tesla to replace the battery disconnect, which will of course be done for free. Moving to the last update, Tesla updates Cybertruck reservation page. If the multiple Cybertruck sightings, or the Cybertruck-powered tailgate patent, or the castings piling up outside Giga Texas weren't enough of a sign that production is very near, Tesla has now updated the Cybertruck reservation page for some customers. The update was first spotted recently by several Cybertruck reservation holders. While the image of the Cybertruck hasn't changed and is still showing the original prototype, the layout of the page has changed and new information has been added. Among that new information is a section for a trade-in estimate, as well as documents and information on accepting delivery, all very good signs that production is closer than many people might think. The one big piece that hasn't been updated is the ability to complete your Cybertruck configuration. Some reservation holders might still see their original configuration, single motor, dual motor, tri-motor, but Tesla later removed those configurations, and we still don't know for sure what trim levels the Cybertruck will be offered in. That's it for now. So what are your thoughts about this? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned at the Electric Arena for all the latest Tesla and electric vehicle news.